Hi everyone, welcome back to English Digest. I'm Pat.
I'm Leah.
And yesterday we told most of the story of Oscar Wilde's play, An Ideal Husband. We didn't give you the ending. We're going to let you guys go out and find that for yourself. Well, now, today we're going to look a little bit about Wilde, but also about the themes of this play. We don't get much into Wilde's life, though, which is a whole, massive story in itself.
That's very true. He was a very flamboyant character in many ways. He was definitely homosexual, but he was not able at that time to be openly gay because it was not allowed in society and it was not actually legal. But he was a very strong personality, and as we will see in here, he was a standout actual figure in literature.
Yeah, great writer, thinker. Some of his works are still read today, and people still quote him all the time.
Yeah,
with his humor and, as we'll see, his wit. So he did write plays, and that's what we're going to be looking through today. So let's read through day 2 of this article.
Oscar Wilde is a standout figure in literature, best remembered for his wit and sharp social commentary. His unique style shines brilliantly in his 4 principal comedic works, with An Ideal Husband being a prime example. First staged in London in 1895, this 4-act play explores the complexities of the upper class, highlighting the delicate balance between political power and personal ethics. Set against London's high society, the narrative delivers a universal message. Even those who are highly regarded aren't without their flaws. No character in the play can claim absolute moral purity, emphasizing Wilde's perspective that humanity is a blend of both admirable traits and inherent imperfections. Though the play is set in the past, the themes of An Ideal Husband are still relevant today. Modern political arenas often turn into places where corruption exists alongside leadership. For many in contemporary society, just as with key characters in the play, morality is driven more by the fear of public exposure and the desire to preserve social status than a genuine sense of right and wrong. Another central theme of the play is the essence of marriage and the expectations that come with it. The narrative challenges our notions of an ideal spouse. Is the perfect partner someone who checks every societal box, or one who, in spite of their flaws, remains steadfast in love and sincerity? Through Lady Chiltern's inner conflicts and subsequent growth, readers are encouraged to reflect on the balance between ideals and the complexities of human nature. It reminds us that perhaps the ideal lies not in perfection, but in understanding, trust, and acceptance. Okay, moving into day 2, we see that Oscar Wilde is a standout figure in literature, best remembered for his wit and sharp social commentary. So he's a standout figure. He's somebody, if you had a whole crowd of people, you would look at him. He stands out in a crowd. You might have a standout athlete, someone who's just really so much better than everyone else, or a standout student, somebody who's just amazing at what they do and gives such a unique perspective that everybody goes, wow, that student's incredible. And he is a standout figure in literature, so he was a standout writer, and he's best remembered for his wit, his biting sense of humor, and his sharp social commentary where he would talk about society. He's actually, I think, a fin de siècle writer, and they were a group of kind of Gothic writers. They kind of got put in together after the fact. Invisible Man was one story from that time, Dracula by Bram Stoker, and Stevenson's Jekyll and Hyde, along with Oscar Wilde's story, Picture of Dorian Gray. They're Gothic stories. Fin de siècle is the end of a century. And those people were very depressed and felt that the world was going into ruin. And yet at the same time, they were very hopeful for the new century starting and new things going on. And the stories really showed a lot of that kind of darkness as well as hope.
So, yeah, he was known for his wit, this ability to use words and ideas in quick and funny and new ways. It's something you're born with. You are either witty, which is the adjective form, or you're not. And everyone is to a certain extent, but yeah, Wilde was a genius for this. And we see his unique style shines brilliantly in his 4 principal comedic works, with An Ideal Husband being a prime example. So he did write lots of other works. So when we talk about someone's principal works, they're the main ones. They're the most important ones. They're the ones that have stood the test of time and are still played today. And they're comedic, which can mean they're just simply funny, but also means they have a kind of a light ending. They're not tragedies where it's got a sad ending.
Where everybody dies. Yeah. Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, Hamlet, Macbeth, all of those. So it's a light kind of, it's almost a comedy of manners where they're kind of laughing at the way people behave and the way society is.
Yeah, the way society goes together.
Yeah. You may have heard of some of the others. Lady Windermere's Fan and The Importance of Being Earnest are 2 of the other real major ones.
First staged in London in 1895, this 4-act play explores the complexities of the upper class, highlighting the delicate balance between political power and personal ethics. So first staged in London in 1895 means it was first shown in London, it was first put on the stage in London, and it's a 4-act play, which means there's 4 pieces to it, 4 separate scenes that you're going to see where actions are happening in the play. And it explores what? It explores the complexities of the upper class, the minute difficulties and complexities.
Difficulties.
Yeah, that's what do you call that?
Yeah, it's just showing how difficult things were in the upper classes, like how difficult life could be. And as it says, this balance between political power and personal ethics. In other words, what about you and your kind of morals and your beliefs will you compromise to get what you want in terms of power? That kind of thing. What rules of your own are you going to break to get what you need? And
we're highlighting that in this play, which means that's the main thing that we're focusing on in this play.
Yeah. So set against London's high society, the narrative delivers a universal message. Even those who are highly regarded aren't without their flaws.
Pat, just a second ago, you said a universal message. How very interesting.
Yeah, you could say
almost said and, right?
Yeah, I almost did because of the vowel, but yeah, with a unit, it's like it's not like an umbrella, but it's a Y sound, yeah. When something is set against something else, the thing it's set against is the background. It's the time, the place, the part of society that is the setting for the play or movie or whatever. Independence Day is set against an alien invasion of Earth. Star Wars is set against a galactic conflict of rebels and an evil empire, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
And so we have a universal message here. A universal message is one that is always going to apply. It's going to be understood by everyone. It's going to be understood at different times in history and by different people. In other words, no matter who you are, where you are, when you live, you're going to go, yeah, I recognize this message. It is a fundamental kind of human truth about people, which is even those who are highly regarded, highly thought of, aren't without their flaws. Like we talked about flawless yesterday, a flaw is some kind of problem, something that stops you from being perfect, maybe something about yourself you need to overcome.
Maybe you drink milk out of the carton in the refrigerator. Maybe you don't ever put your clothes away or put them in the dirty laundry to help other people out. These could all be seen as flaws. And in fact, no character in the play can claim absolute moral purity, emphasizing Wilde's perspective that humanity is a blend of both admirable traits and inherent imperfections. So In his play, he wants to show this human element. And by human, we mean that nobody is perfect. Everybody has their problems. We're not going to be able to have just that one person where we go, oh, he's the god in the story and the total hero. No, everybody's got problems. So no character is has absolute moral purity. Absolute means total, complete. Moral purity here means that they'd never done anything wrong. Purity here being innocence, right? So they are morally innocent. They have done everything in their life right. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, always tell the truth. Never make a mistake. Never make a bad judgment. That kind of thing. Never have a mean thought.
Right.
Wilde, however, is saying no one is like that. His perspective, his belief, the way he sees it is that humanity is a blend. It's a mixture of both admirable traits and inherent imperfections. Something that is admirable is admired. People admire this thing.
It's worthy of admiration.
Yeah, people look up to it. So admirable traits, telling the truth, keeping your promises, supporting others, looking out for people in trouble. Those are all admirable things in a person. Inherent imperfections, on the other hand, imperfections is like flaws, problems, and inherent means it's part of who you are.
Part of your basic nature.
Yeah, humans are never perfect. Nobody's perfect. Everybody's got stuff they do wrong, stuff that they could do better. It's just part of who we are, so it is inherent to us.
That's really, I think, what Wilde is saying about human society is that we aren't perfect, so you can't pretend to be ideal. Just to mention with admirable, you can add that able to a lot of different words, and it means worthy of or deserving. So lovable, you are worthy of love. You deserve love. Malleable, able to shape
moved,
or to shift, right? So you can often say able to be loved, able to be malleable, to be mauled, able to be admired.
Okay, we're going to take a moment here to take a break, and we'll hand over to our Chinese teacher for a bit, and then we'll come back for the second half of the article.Hello
everyone, 我是派老师。今天讲解的是寒假合刊 Unit4 Morality and Marriage Explored in an Ideal Husband Day 2第2天的课程。前一天课程介绍了理想丈夫这个剧本的主要情节，而第2天内容则针对剧情做分析。剧本有2个主旨，其中一个就是政界当中没有崇高无上的道德，而第2个主旨则是关于婚姻本质。好，我们一起来看学习重点吧。那请同学看到第一段第一个句子，再告诉我们这个剧本的创作者 Oscar Wilde 王尔德，他在文学上其实是相当的杰出 ，a standout figure。好，再来我们一起来看第2个句子，这边请同学特别注意到的是逗点之后的 with， 这个 with 这边并不表示工具或者和什么对象从事什么事情。这个 with 呢，它是在做附带说明，让我们知道主要子句之外，在另外呢做了附带说明，就是 an ideal husband 这个脚本这个剧本呢，它其实就是属于呢喜剧的创作。那同学要特别注意到的是后面的这个 being， 要记住在介系词 with 之后，我们是不可能出现动词，所以这里我们不会说 an ideal husband is a prime example， 在 with 后面，所以我们要把这个动词变成原形，再加上 ing。好，再来请同学看到第3个句子 ，First stage in London in 1895。这里同学知道说 an ideal husband 一刚开始的时候，它其实就是个剧本。既然是剧本，就是为了要让演员呢能够登台演出的，所以这一出戏刚开始呢是什么时候演出的呢？ Stage, it was staged， 应该是要用被动的。那一样呢，分词构句，所以我们只保留了后面的这个过去分词。好，那此外，其实这个句子还有第2个分词构句的地方，那就是 highlighting 这里。那这个呢是主动的，所以我们后面呢是保持是加上 ing。再来，请同学呢看到第2段的第1个句子，同样也是分词构句，再告诉我们整个剧本它的背景 ，It was set against London's high society。好，那所以呢，这个 剧本这个故事，它是以伦敦的上流社会为背景。这边的 narrative 当然指的就整个剧本的故事 narrative。好，再来请同学看到第一句比较后面的部分，就从 even those who are highly regarded， 那即使是那些备受推崇的人 aren't without their flaws。 好，这个呢感觉上好像有点绕哦，逻辑 on 是否定，那后面的 without 也是否定，所以呢我们就知道原来负负得正指的就是这些受到推崇的人，他们也是有缺点的。好，所以老师要另外补充的就是，请同学记得 flaw 是名词，那 flawed 后面加上 ed 就是有缺点、有瑕疵的。那完美无瑕的呢，在 flaw 后面加上 less flawless 就是完美无瑕的。
We're going to take a short break and then we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Let's carry on with our look at the themes of an ideal husband. The article says, though the play is set in the past, the themes of an ideal husband are still relevant today. Now, we did say before the break there was a universal message in the story, and that's why it's still relevant. Something that is relevant is it's important. It relates to your life. It's something that still matters, even though it's not part of, this play is 100 years old and 130 years old, whatever, but it's still relevant. It still has a message and things we can learn from. If you are reading a book, for example, a textbook, you might say, okay, this bit is not relevant to what I'm studying, means it's not important to what I want to learn. This bit is relevant, it's going to be on the test, maybe if it's a school book. So in other words, it is important. I do need to pay attention to it.
Modern political arenas often turn into places where corruption exists alongside leadership. So it is the case that today you will still see in political arenas or areas that you often have a place of corruption or rot, evil, degradation. The breakdown of good things is corruption a lot of times, exists alongside leadership. So even in a political arena, you don't just have good. I mean, American politics at the moment, if you've had an opportunity to watch what's going on, has been very, very, very messy. And there's a lot of political infighting, we say, where, the Democrats and the Republicans are fighting instead of trying to find ways to get along and move on and help society. There's some corruption there that's just not allowing that to happen.
Britain isn't much better. The corruption we had in previous years, we had the government being accused of giving contracts to deal with COVID to their friends, the parties.
The parties, yeah.
For the former Prime Minister Boris Johnson, then tried to cover up. So, yeah, corruption, like using your power to get rich or to do what you want instead of using it for good. The article continues, for many in contemporary society, modern society, just as with key characters in the play, morality is driven more by the fear of public exposure and the desire to preserve social status than a genuine sense of right and wrong.
That's a good long sentence.
It is, yeah. So what it's saying is, for the people in the play and for many people in modern day, their morality, their decisions about what they should do, what they're going to do, what is right, what is wrong, they are driven by or fueled by, the motivation is this fear of public exposure. That's one part of it. In other words, I'm going to do this because if I don't, I'm going to get in trouble.
Right.
So the
people
motivation,
are going to laugh at me or they're going to tell me I'm doing a bad job.
Yeah, vote me out.
And I'm just desperately worried about that. So I'm going to do things to make myself okay.
Rather than doing it because it's the right
thing to do.
Because that's the genuine, if I tell the truth, then I'll get in trouble. But if I lie, then I won't get in trouble.
And I won't get kicked out of office.
Yeah, so they lie.
Not good.
Yeah, that's because they're afraid of getting exposed rather than going, nope, I did it, I'm going to tell the truth. And part of that is also preserving their social status. Now, you can say status, you can say status, both are okay. It's just your position in society, usually kind of relative to everybody else in society. We talked about high society in the upper classes. Those are the people at the top. They have a high status. They are looked up to. They're considered to be the the top people.
The most, with the highest integrity.
Yeah, the most money, the best reputation.
Moral code.
Yeah, whereas the people lower down are maybe considered to be not so good, not so wealthy, not so important.
And this is where the importance of literature comes in, because a lot of times in literary works, the author will describe how this idea of high society being perfect or ideal is really wrong, and the world is often a lot more complex than we think it is. And that's what's going on in this play as well. Another central theme of the play is the essence of marriage and the expectations that come with it. So another central theme, another main focus in the play. A lot of times in a work of art, you'll have different central themes like honor and love and anger and jealousy. It might be central themes in the play in a story. Here is the essence of marriage. So what makes up marriage? What is the basic thing behind marriage, and the expectations that come with being married. So what is expected of you when you are married? Are you supposed to be a certain way? Is it okay to be different than that way?
So, yeah, this is also, in some ways, this does look back to its time, because back in the end of the 19th century, a lot of marriages were still being made for position and wealth and power. Love marriages were not the only reason to get married back then, and unlike now. So, but it's still a relevant theme, because people will still go into marriage and they've got certain expectations of what this marriage is going to be and how it's going to work out. They'll very quickly find that it's never that easy.
Never that easy. Never an ideal spouse, as we see in the next sentence here.
Yeah, the narrative challenges our notions, our ideas of an ideal spouse. Spouse is one of those words that can mean either the husband or wife. It's like sibling can mean either a brother or sister. It's a gender-neutral term.
And it says here, is the perfect partner someone who checks every societal box, or one who, in spite of their flaws, remains steadfast in love and sincerity? And that's a really good question, right? So the ideal spouse and the perfect partner, you can say that's dungu. They're basically the same thing. Partner also does not have to be male or female. You can have your partner in marriage. You can have your partner in business. And does your partner have to be someone who checks every societal box? What might be a societal box? Well, it might be that they know enough people, that they have enough connections, that they run in the right areas of society, that they're well known enough out there, that they have enough money. These are societal views of what is good, right?
I think it also means what society would say a perfect spouse should be. So if you were going with stereotypes, they go, okay, I want my husband to be tall and handsome and wealthy and caring and come from a good family and have a good job and already own a car. And by checking every box, we mean it's like a list, and you go, yep, he's got this, got this, got this, got this. And the other way around, I want my wife to be, beautiful, kind, caring, quiet might be one, of course. And because it's not always this, generally societal boxes are not really that fair or realistic. It tends to go towards the stereotypes rather than the actual reality of the situation.
And the question really comes to, is that what we need to be looking at? Or are we looking for someone who, in spite of their flaws, is steadfast? Steadfast means steady. They don't go, and as soon as you maybe become pregnant and there's a little bit of a difficulty, they go, oh my God, I'm done. I got to get out of here. No, they stay with you. They stay the course. They stay in love, and they stay beside you, and they stay sincere. They show their care for you and their concern for you. That's a steadfast individual.
So we see in the next sentence, through Lady Chiltern's inner conflicts and subsequent growth, readers are encouraged to reflect on the balance between ideals and the complexities of human nature. So although we talked yesterday as if Sir Robert Chiltern was the main character, here we're looking at what happens to Lady Chiltern through the course of the play. So we mentioned at the end of day one, she had some inner conflicts, like, hang on, my husband needs to be this ideal, but he's doing this thing that's not right.
So I should leave.
Yeah, so she's got inner conflict. She's not sure what's going on. She's kind of arguing with herself over what she wants and what is right. And then we've got subsequent growth. Subsequent means just after something else. So she has the conflict first, and then later she grows. She develops. She becomes a little more kind of deep as a character. She learns a lot more. She becomes more mature. So that's what we mean by growth. She starts off being kind of very simple, having a few very basic ideas, but later she gains a much wider understanding of real life and starts to think about, what do I want from my husband, really?
And because of her character growth, readers are encouraged by what? Well, they're encouraged to think about that balance between ideals and, well, human nature. Human nature is not a simple thing. And your ideals, you might be making the world too simple. You can't just say, I want him to have blue eyes. If he has brown eyes, hey, you got to deal with it. Life is complicated.
Mm-hmm. And so in our conclusion, we have, it reminds us that perhaps the ideal lies not in perfection, but in understanding, trust, and acceptance. And I think that's pretty clearly the case. We probably don't need the perhaps there.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, you're never going to get perfection. Don't hope for it. You can try and get it, aim for it, because then if you fall short, at least you've had a go and you'll be like 80% close.
The expression practice makes perfect, a lot of times they've changed it now to practice makes better, because you're not likely to get to perfection 100% of the time. You're going to have times when the bumps in the road make life a little more difficult. So practice makes better.
Yeah, so don't hope for perfection, as that's the only thing that matters. Just think, okay, ideal is someone who understands me, trusts me, I trust them, they accept me, I accept them, and that is what is the ideal spouse or partner, somebody who can do all of those things, tick all of those relationship boxes.
That comes from a level of maturity that you probably don't have in those early years of a relationship when you're like, they've got to be beautiful, they've got to be handsome.
Well, that brings us to the end of our article. We're going to hand over to our Chinese teacher one more time, and then we'll be back to wrap things up.
好，再来我们看到第3段的部分，第一个句子，请同学特别注意到的，就这个剧本其实背景是在过去，但里面的这个主旨整个剧本所描述的剧情的主旨，其实到今天的社会呢，我们并不会觉得说这好像是古代的故事吧，跟我们有什么关系，还是高度相关。relevant， 那 relevant 这个动词，这个是形容词，它的反义词其实同学也应该要记起来，叫 irrelevant， 前面上 ir 就是了。那如果呢和今天的社会有点脱节了，毫不相关，我们就会知道说这样子的故事其实就是过时了 outdated， outdated。 可是现在呢还是相关的，所以我们说 relevant。 再来请同学看到第2个句子 modern political arenas。 那political arenas 我们这边可以就是理解为现代的政界 modern political arenas。 那这些政治人物呢，他们通常都会有腐败的问题， corruption 所指的当然就是政治人物腐败的问题。那再来我们请同学看到第3个句子，请看到逗点之后的这个主要子句 Morality is driven more by the fear of。 那这里请同学先画起来，那接着请往后看，看到后面有一个 than， 对吧？那通常我们看到比较级的时候，多数情况很常见的就是后面还会有一个 than 这个部分。好，这句话到底是什么意思？意思是指对当代很多政治人物来说，驱动道德的主要力量是害怕在社会大众面前出丑，而不是发自内心的善恶是非之分。好，所以我们知道这里的 more 还有这个 than， 其实这里我们在中文的理解上就把这个 more 理解为主要就好了，主要是后面的这件事情，就是他们不想要在社会大众面前出丑。好，再来我们请同学呢看到就是第4个句子。第4个句子 主要动词的部分 ，readers are encouraged to reflect on the balance between ideals and the complexities of human nature。请同学把动词片语 reflect on 画起来，就请大家去反思一下。最后，我们看到第五句。第五句呢，其实这是整个脚本的评论的结语，下得非常好。这个剧本提醒我们，理想不在于完美，而是理解、信任跟接纳。好，以上就是我们针对第二天课程所做的中文讲解，谢谢大家。
Okay, everyone, that brings us to the end of our exploration of morality and marriage in An Ideal Husband. Do go out and see if you can find a movie version or some other version of this play to find out what happens and kind of judge what's going on for yourself, really.
And look a little bit more into Oscar Wilde because he's quite a fascinating character in history.
Yeah, I mean, and also check out the movie about him. It's called Wild, starring Stephen Fry. It's a really, really good movie.But that brings us to the end. So
For English Digest,
yeah, I'm Pat.
I'm Leah.
Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.